Hello everybody, today I thought I would like to talk about Ironman and why I like him. I got him to level 100 and he has been my third person that I got to level 100. I first did Storm, then Spider-Man, and now I have done Ironman. Ironman personally is a character that I think if you're somebody who wants to do all forms of the game and enjoy and have fun, he's the character you want to play because he is, in my personal opinion, currently in the middle for everything. For PvE, PvP, he's good, and he can have a build for almost everything. His skills in particular are quite well designed to the point of you can change them depending upon what you're doing. So the first one's really you just have a big beam, but you can also change it to like a higher guard break. So if what you're trying to do is be more of a guard breaker, you can do that too. He has a missile build, which can AoE people, but if you're only hitting one person, it does more significant damage, so you can single target people down if you're trying to nuke a single person. He's got an AoE decreased defense, which is one of my favorite moves, but again, if you want to change it up a little bit, instead you can do a dash back and forth to do bleed damage. So he has a way of really fitting his lore and his dynamics effectively. Iron Man is known as somebody who's got, almost like Batman, he's got every tool for every situation. And that is sort of what Iron Man feels like to play. The gameplay of actually fighting as him feels fairly correct. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the activity log here. I'm just going to go Sakar. We're going to go the most wanted, and I'm just going to try to locate one of these guys real quick. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of the fighting while I talk about him. Now, personally, I'm going to say some pros and cons, okay? So pros of Tony Stark. 100% the pro is adaptability, PvE, PvP, like I've already kind of said. I also think he's one of the more enjoyable characters. He also has some pretty great mechanics of doing damage even when you're running from people, because you can kite due to the way his either ion cannon works, or you can actually summon some extra type of like droids that will go around with you. He also has some of the best looking skills and sound effects. So the actual sound effects of the abilities and the movement of the character, it's a little laggy right now because I'm recording a bunch of stuff here, is personally for me, I'm a big fan of Iron Man. So I really feel like when I'm playing Iron Man, they got Iron Man down. Like that's what Iron Man feels to play like. And that ion cannon right there, which is from the sky, he's got his satellite, one of the coolest things. So he has a way of, you can change the satellite move to do different things. And that fits the theme of Iron Man as well. It's not just his suit. So you can actually change that to where instead it summons some other guys, which is great. There's the missile. Now that's the pros, okay? There are definitely some cons with Iron Man, which is his ultimate ability. Now, his ult is kind of one big beam, sort of like this beam you're seeing right now. But the problem with that is, for an ult, he also launches his missiles. And what we'll do is we'll get the ult here in a second. You'll see it. He launches his missiles, and those go out and hit everyone around him, but he's only beaming in one direction, and the missiles don't actually do that much damage. So what it does is effectively aggroes everyone around you who pile in you while you're shooting in one direction alone, and they can either just straight up kill you in some of the quests, or the beam misses quite often. It's quite hard to land with his ultimate, and people consider him to have one of the worst ultimates, if not the worst ultimate out of literally every character in the game. That's a really big feels bad, but luckily his other moves are all fairly decent. Like, he's one of the characters that none of his moves and variety of moves feel like a complete waste. Like, it doesn't feel like, okay, there's 4 versions of this move, but only one of them is any good. Like, it feels like you could really build almost any costume set, almost any skill set, almost any Omega card set. I could definitely see a PvP build with like bleed, higher damage, and the Iron Man clones. I could see more of a PvE build with lots of decreased defense, you know, for instance, or more single target builds, or there's the more AoE builds. I could see that, for instance. There's the beam type of builds. And now let me show you the ult. So here's kind of the feels bad part about the ult, right? You go like, oh, these guys are lined up. Let me ult them here. You go to do the ult's damage, and look, they died, right? So now it's like, look how close that beam was to it. It still didn't hit those guys, and then all it did was shoot missiles, which kind of aggro the other people. So it takes a while for it to go. Once it actually does launch, more times than not, it's gonna miss, or the people will be dead already, and it only hits in this small little cone. Like, the animation is actually bigger than what it actually hits itself. His Unibeam standard ability, it almost seems like a better version of that move. And so that is really the biggest con of him for sure, and that kind of feels bad. But his other moves are great. his other moves are great, and he really does have a large variety. What I want to show you here is his other move that's probably his most fun ability, and the one that you can really use in PvP as well. He can also cheese in PvP, which I've seen people do some kind of weird glitch in Dimension Duel where they fly up and like above everything and get out of the actual map. I don't know if you can still do that, but check this out. If you go to skills here, look, the ion cannon, you can change it. And now look, I can do a version of it, which what it does is party time protocol. It's going to bring in some additional help in forms of other Iron Man. And this is a really great tool for PvP because you can use it to dash forward, do damage, and then run away. And your Iron Man will go there and attack them down while they're trying to chase you, etc. So it's another form of being able to PvP as well. And I personally really like that too. Now that AoE decreased defense is probably my favorite move. In terms of how he does in like blitzes and all that. Basically, every character in the game can solo the blitzes at the moment. I haven't had any problems with the blitzes. I will say in the story, I died all the time. I died like all the time in the Sakaar region going forward. Midgardia wasn't too bad, and he does have enough moves that when it comes to bosses, the bosses are fairly easy because all you have to do is kind of hit and run, or call in the Iron Man party protocol, have them slowly kill it while you're just kiting. No problem. You can do that, no problem. And for that reason, you're really going to like him. I think he would be a great person to have as maybe your first or even second character. And I think he's somebody that introduces you to the game really well. I like that. I think Iron Man's going to be a natural choice for a lot of people. And so I'm liking that they're doing that for sure. In terms of his actual specializations, if you look at them, they're pretty cool. You know, if I show you, look at the way they designed the circle. The circle is a little different than some of the other characters. If you look over here, attacking a target with 50% HP or below increases armor penetration, so you have a little bit of an execution there, increases damage and stamina consumption when using attack skills, so you can see there's a DPS line. Then there's the ultimate skill gauge recovery, which to me isn't really that interesting. And then there's the skill gauge damage, you have duration of debuffs, you have defense piercing, you have increased damage dealt to super villains, which is interesting for the PvE side, which is why, once again, I'm saying PvP and PvE is nice. Armor enhancement, which increases guard damage, so you could go even that way. You can see he has tons of traits. Look, energy shield creates a barrier equal to 2.5% of max HP for 5 seconds when the guard is broken. And then energy recycling, which he has a chance to recover stamina when using a skill, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm actually a really, really big fan of Iron Man. And plus, the way they did his traits is you don't have to, like in Storm, you have to do all of the traits around them. The traits, you have to have the surrounding ones. So on this one, you can pick through to the one you want, then just do either side like that, then go through, grab these ones. It's much easier to get the traits, to get straight towards the traits on him as well. So I like that also. They do a pretty good job. Plus the costumes, since you can build them almost any way, the different costumes that are available for Iron Man are basically all usable. If you actually look at them, the Avengers in-game costume, the one that you get for the $45, isn't that bad because the Unibeam skill is fairly good. Plus, in my opinion, I actually really like the look of this one, the nanotech suit from Marvel's in-game. Big fan. Savage Shadowland is obviously your PvE set. Hydra is like your ultimate nuke with miso set. Defense piercing plus the weapons cartridge is pretty nuts. Then you have your critical rate version of that same set. Then you have your Jarvis class skill with critical rate. Sakaar is pretty great. And if you look, all of them look good. This is for your ultimate skill. I'm not a fan of the new Stark personally. Xander Earth I think is pretty great because it's repulsors, and there's a move that allows you to spam repulsors like almost over and over again. Then you got your micro missiles with the stealth. So there's a few ways you can build them. I'm actually a pretty big fan of this character because of his variety. So personally, if you're not sure who to play first, maybe try Iron Man because he has such a variety and you can figure out what part of the game you like the most. Then from there, you can pick your next character. Love you all. Thanks for watching this video. Consider liking and subscribing to help me out if you got any information at all out of this video, and let me know who you want me to cover down below. I currently have 5 characters to level 100. I have 3 left to go, and that's what I've been working on recently. I'll see you in the next video.